We're speaking with Brian Palmer, who is our scholar in residence for the Division of Learning, Innovation, and Student Success. And Brian has a great deal of experience as a journalist, as someone who works in multiple media, and spends a lot of time talking to people to try to get them to talk with him in ways that are going to be valuable, both to the interviewee and to the interviewer. So I thought I'd just ask, for the sake of the folks that are going to be out there interacting with people during the Great VCU Bike Race book, Brian, if you could share with us, just as generally as possible, how do you interact in public with people to help them be their best selves and to put your best foot forward as an interviewer?
That's a great question. I would say keep it simple and keep it direct. You're going to be approaching people very busy, tumultuous atmospheres, and you have something that you want from them, and you should be succinct. So I would probably say, hello, my name is X. I'm a student at Virginia Commonwealth University, and I'm in a course right now, and I'm covering the UCI bike race. Would you be interested in talking to me about that? I would also probably spell out that this might appear on the web, because some people are concerned about that. And based upon that approach, hello, my name is, and that brief introduction, you're going to try and get a sense of whether they're really interested or whether maybe they've had a little bit too many things to drink or eat, and you may want to move on. But if they do feel engaged or warm, I would say, if they say yes, I would say, great. Can you give me a sense of why you're here today with great enthusiasm, and where did you come from? These are basic questions. You will probably want to formulate your more course-specific questions even before you hit the streets. So what do you want the blog to be about, and what is the larger objective of this course? You can write those questions down, 4, 5, 6, 7. You don't need to necessarily read down the list, but you should have those which you can bring out once you break the ice. But you really do have to break that ice. You have to be direct. If you're planning on recording it, you should just be straightforward and ask, may I use an audio recorder, or may I use my iPhone to record you?
And I want to pick up on that last question in particular, because we will have basically a model release form that people can sign. But of course, when you say, will you sign this, that has a chilling effect on the later part of the interview. But you're suggesting that you can simply make the permission to use this material in audio or video form part of the interview itself.
We do that sometimes in journalism. It's kind of like an on-air release. And as you're taping or recording, you say, will you give me permission to use this on the internet or in a story that I'm doing, which may be distributed through various forms of media. So that's another way to do it. And it's not as strong as a paper release, but I think for what we're doing, it will probably suffice.
This is a public event. It is out in the public, so technically these kinds of releases are not necessary. But it is wise to do that, and it is fair warning so that people understand that they might see this in another form sometime. So let me ask you one other question, Brian, because this is very, very helpful. The extra layer to all of this is that it is a kind of citizen journalism in the service of learning.
Yes.
And sharing what the student is learning as part of the process is going to be vital as we move forward. So it's also the case that we want students to be good representatives of VCU. So as you think about this, do you have any thoughts about how the student going up to someone might position themselves as a learner, and this is for a kind of a greater educational good as well?
That is an excellent question, because sometimes when I'm in my journalist head, I think of these interactions as transactions. And I don't think that that's necessarily the best way to think of them, either as a journalist or as a learner. I think these are genuine conversations. Granted, you want something, there's some self-interest there, but there's also, I think, a need, if you're going to have a real conversation, to answer some questions yourself. Someone is going to ask you, why are you doing this? Can I ask you where you're from? So on and so forth. So you have to be prepared, I think, to have an exchange. And that's where the learning comes in. I mean, if you can just sort of be in that moment, listen to the person rather than skipping ahead to the next question, and really listening. And if the conversation is going in a direction that doesn't accord with your notes, with your questions, if it feels profitable, if it sounds interesting and compelling, follow it for a while. If this is a person worth spending another 2 or 3 minutes with, take that time and learn something new. You just don't have to tick off your boxes.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.